In addition to the navigation pane that we learned about in the previous training video, how we can navigate through our document really fast by typing in a keyword, you also have the advanced find feature. For those things that are a little bit more hard or challenging to find, let me show you. To bring up the advanced find window, you can do it one of many ways. You can even do it from the navigation pane, which you can bring up by doing Control F on the keyboard, the shortcut keys. You can see it's right there. Click on its corresponding drop-down arrow next to the search box, and there's advanced find. Brings up the find and replace window that gives you the option to find what, also the replace feature and GoTo. Let's close out and close out of navigation. Other ways you can bring up that same window is from the Home tab in the Editing group. Click on the Find drop-down arrow. You have Advanced Find, brings up the same window. You can click on it again and do the GoTo. Brings up the same window but puts you on the GoTo tab. Now we covered the GoTo in a previous training video, albeit briefly. Let's go ahead and close out. The shortcut keys to bring up that window are Control G, takes you to the GoTo tab, again same window. Close out, Control H, takes you to the same window on the Replace tab, close out, or F5, which is my favorite key because it's only one, not two, and I don't have to mess with the ribbon. Brings up the same window. Even though it's on the GoTo tab, I can just come over here and click on the Find to begin finding what, well, let's type in what we want to find in our document, like Glenn. Then to find it, click Next, and notice how that Find Next button is highlighted in a light blue. That means it's active, so if you hit the Enter key on the keyboard, it's like you clicking on the button. So it found it first over here, and it's highlighted in gray, so when I hit Enter, it moves the window out of the way so it can show you that it found Glenn here. And notice that it's not a whole word that it found, but part of a word, so it's Glenn apostrophe S. Hit Enter, and you can do that until you get to the end of the document. When it's done, it'll let you know and say, okay, we're done finding Glenn within the document. You can also highlight what you're looking for within the document by clicking on Reading Highlight and say Highlight All, and there it highlights everybody. Let's close out. You can look at it, make changes. Of course, once you make a change anywhere, even just hitting the space bar, it unhighlights everything that it highlighted. So F5 to bring it back up and go to the Find tab. And now for the advanced features, by clicking on the More button, you have additional options down below, like if you're looking to match the case, instead of just the uppercase G for Glenn, let's see if there's any lowercase g, and you can see that it's been applied for the option. Go ahead and click Find Next. Ooh, it found one. Let me click and drag this down so I can see it. And it's got that red squiggly mark underneath it to let you know that it's been misspelled, or in this case it doesn't have the uppercase G for the proper name for Glenn, so that's no good. You can go ahead and click on the drop down arrow and select Highlight All. And again, when I do it, notice that it will let you know when you highlight all how many items within the document have the lowercase g that we're looking for in Glenn. Now it says items because it can't say word, because this may be part of another word. And let's go ahead and click Find Next so I can show you, like Glenn. Oh, found something. There it is. You see that? It found lowercase g, but part of a reference being made for glennbeck.com 2010 for the quote that we got here. So if I'm thinking, okay, I want to go ahead and replace all the lowercase Glenns with the uppercase, except for the ones that have been referenced that we'll learn about in a later training video, because even though it finds it, when you use the Replace feature by clicking on the Replace tab, it won't replace what's in here because it was part of a reference that was inserted. So with the Replace tab, you can see that you still get the Find option, so you can go ahead and click Find Next, and then again, we can't do it for these references here, but Find Next. Once it gets to the end of the document, if we began our search with the new feature added to it in the middle of the document, it wants to go to the top and say, do you want to start at the beginning? Because we haven't searched up there for the recent option of match case, we'll say yes, and it found it there. So you can go ahead, once it highlights it, say that you want to replace it, and it moves on to the next one. And then you can click Replace. Now it didn't replace everything within the document because remember, let me click OK. When we applied the match case feature, it was in the middle, so don't be fooled by that. So let's go ahead and click on Find Next, and there he is again. So instead of going through this and saying, okay, Find Next, Replace, Find Next, Replace, go ahead and click Replace All, and it will go through and make all the replacements that match this criteria here. And it found two additional ones that it can make the replacements with. Click OK. Now it cannot replace those that were in that reference box that I showed you. Let's click Find Next. It can't make them there because again it's pulling in from a referenced field. And it's got that special box around it, so if we want to change that, we'd have to change the reference, which we'll learn how to do in a later training video. Now you may think to yourself, wait a second, let's close out of here. When I bring up the navigation pane, as you recall in the previous training video, can't you do it from here by clicking on the drop-down arrow, bringing up the options, and also check match case? Which brings up a good point. It's already checked, right? So what you check here for the navigation pane options will also be checked in the advanced find feature and vice versa. So if I uncheck it here and click OK, and I hit F5 on the keyboard and go to the Find tab, it also unchecked it here. Pretty nifty. Let's go ahead and clear out Glenn and click on the format to see what we have there. So if you're looking for specific formats within your document, maybe it's a word that you type in here that has bold applied to it or italics, and you want to find out because you have the same word throughout your document maybe 20 times, but half of them have bold applied to it and the other half don't. So you want to find those that maybe do and unbold them when you go to the Replace tab. For example, if I select font, it brings it up here and I can choose what I want to look for. It has to be bold and it has to be size 12. I mean, you can really get persnickety about this, and click OK, and notice what it's going to find. It's listed there. It wants to find any word, if I don't type in the text, any format that's been applied to a word that has 12-point font size and also bold. If it's in the document, when I click Find Next, it'll find it. If it's not within the document, when I click Find Next, it'll say, can't find it, and we'll say that's fine. Let me say no and move that over there. Now keep that in mind, because if you want to clear the formatting here because you no longer want to look for that, because there may be times, like what I've done when I try to find Glenn and I click Find Next, and I click Yes, search at the beginning of the document, search throughout the document, OK, and I'm like, wait a second, Glenn's in the document. Why can I not find it? It's because it's looking for Glenn. That's size 12, the font size also bold. I don't have that in my document. So you need to come down here and select No Formatting to clear it. Then you can click Find Next. We'll go to the beginning of the document. We'll continue searching throughout the document until it finds it. And there it is there. And we're not matching cases, so that's okay. And we can find it because it's not bold and it's not the exact font size that I'm looking for. You also have something special. You can look for paragraph markers within your document, tab characters, a lot of these things that we'll be learning about in the next several training videos. What we learned so far is about the paragraph mark in the previous training video, and we'll learn about some of these others that you can look for within the document. Let's go ahead and clear this out and do one more special find, or let's do a format find so I can prove my point. Let's click on the format and go to Styles. Remember how I talked about styles up here in an earlier training video, that when you apply a style like heading 1, and let's say we want to find all the text, it just has that style. I mean, right now we're not looking for keywords, we're now looking for formats, or in this case a style that has a combination of formats that's been applied to text that may be within the document. I say maybe because I want to find out if it is within the document. Let's go ahead and scroll down till I find one of the styles like heading 1. And you can see all the different formats that apply to that heading 1 style. It's in the font type Cambria, size 16, font colors accent 1. It's got the spacing before the paragraph, 12 points, keep with the next, a lot of stuff there that we'll learn about. Click OK, and we'll say let's find next. And it found it. It should be what is Glenn. Let's go ahead and click Find Next, and this is Glenn. Let's go ahead and do a highlight all, and you can see it better there, because usually when you do a find for the text it puts it in a gray box, but when you highlight all, that makes it easier, because not only does it highlight in yellow, but it puts it in gray as well. And so you can see when you highlight it, which is nice because it gives us the total item count that's within the document, and there's 3. And we have 3 headings within the document. As you recall, let me close out. Over in the navigation pane, when I select headings, there you go. Faith, Hope, and Charity. It's highlighted. What is Glenn? Highlighted. And this is Glenn. So when I click off and I hit the space bar or type anything or make any changes, it unhighlights what I've been searching for. So hit the F5 key on the keyboard, go to the Find tab, and notice that that format still applies. So if I change my search to a keyword like Glenn again, it's not going to find it because I don't have any Glens that have the heading style 1 applied to it. So make sure you say no formatting, then go ahead after you clear out the formatting to type in what you want to find or change the formatting. Just make sure that if it's not the same formatting that you want to be part of what your search is, click no formatting or just continue to add what you're looking for. You can even search for highlighted things within your document. Ooh, that's fancy. Go ahead and click less to keep it simple if you want to go back to a basic find, or for that matter, it's really no longer an advanced find. but you could close out, just do a simple find over here in the navigation pane. One more time, the F5 key on the keyboard, we've learned about find and replace, a simple find, and that heading style is still there, so let's go ahead and click more and say no formatting. And it's there until I actually do another search, because there's no way to click save. So after I type in a search like Glenn, and then click find next, and then click cancel, then I hit the F5 key on the keyboard, go back to the find tab. Again, there's no way to save it. It just automatically saves what you were last looking for. Just if you want to clear it out, the only way to really do it is to close out of the program completely to end the session. Otherwise, it's not bothering anybody if you're not looking for anything. You just need to make sure that you clear it if you are going to look for something. Click less. We've got the replace. Go ahead and type in what you're looking for, replace it with whatever. You can do it with text. You can also do it with formatting or special characters that you're looking for. Then finally the GoTo tab, as we went over briefly in an earlier training video. What do you want to find? Type in the page number. We'll learn about sections. Do you want to go to a line, maybe line 4? Click Go To, and let's see if this checks out. That should be line 4. Let's turn on the Show Hide Codes and count. There's line 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay,